Here's something that's going to piss you off. You can make 1 million views on a reel and make less money in the end than someone who just made 200k views. And the reason behind that is the wrong audience, right? If your reels go to India, Mexico, all the non-English speaking countries outside of your key target bubble, you're just gonna lose so much money on the table and you're never gonna know why unless you fix that problem. So today I'm going to break down how Instagram decides who sees your content. And it has nothing to do with VPNs, has nothing to do with phone locations. I've personally ran hundreds of accounts, I've talked to thousands of people in my community. I'm actually gonna break down how to fix it. And it's gonna be 6 things in total. Now real quick, why does the US audience even matter, right? We talk about this a lot on this channel, but why does it actually matter? And I can tell you, right? Simple economics, because Americans have the highest spending power on OnlyFans. Per capita, they outspend basically every other country there. They have the highest market cap inside the country. So if you're marketing to Americans, you're marketing to money. Plus, the whole OFM industry kind of evolves around US trends anyway. The sounds, the content styles, the trends, the patterns. They usually start in America and then spread everywhere else. So you want to be fishing where the fish are, if that makes sense. Now, here's some math that should probably wake you up, right? If you post a reel that has a million views essentially, and you have a 10% US audience, you probably get less ups than a reel with 200k views and 80% US audience. So the conversion just isn't there when you're reaching people who can't or won't pay. So let's fix it. Now, what doesn't matter for the US audience? Let's get started with that. Obviously, if you want to check your Instagram reel audience, here's going to be a very basic breakdown because a lot of people still don't know the numbers of their business that they're talking about, which is mind-blowing to me. Obviously, go to your Instagram professional dashboard, check your followers and check the top locations. If you're below 50%, you have a big audience problem. If you're 50 to 70, there's room to optimize. It's already good. We can make it very good, but you're definitely in a good place. And if it's above 70, you're in good fucking shape, right? So kudos to that. That shouldn't be your number one priority. But I assume after pausing this video, clicking on your follower list, clicking on the individual videos and checking, oh shit, I have a 20% audience, you're not going to be interested how to actually fix that. But before that, let me tell you what doesn't matter. Because on Telegram, on YouTube, on basically all OFM info products, all the communities, a lot of people still mention certain buzzwords that they think are relevant to this kind of topic. VPNs, the location of the phone, proxies, all of that stuff. So let me tell you what really does not affect your audience. Because let me give you a very basic example on how Instagram actually works. All right, let's say you and me, we're friends at the bar, right? I'm trying to hook you up with some chicks, all right? I'm gonna be your wingman. My goal is to give you the most woman to talk to with the highest success rate, aka falling in love, let's say, all right? So I'm just watching from across the bar and I see you talk to a lot of different women and I see like 8 out of 10 women who approach you are blondes. So I'm just gonna think, all right, this guy has the highest chance of scoring with a blonde chick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go to every single blonde in the bar and tell them, hey, my friend over there thinks you're really cute. You should go up, talk to him. He's a millionaire, big dick, whatever it is. So this is how Instagram works. They're not looking. If you were wearing a shirt that says, I'm into brunettes, right? Whoa, I will still see you talking to blondes. So, okay, that's obviously who is into you. So I'm going to show you more of them. This is how Instagram works. Instagram isn't looking at your phone location. Like this worked in 2021, all right? Most of you still use systems from like 4 years ago. Back when TikTok was viral, back when TikTok was the money-making thing, back before y'all was even an industry. This is where the phone location and the SIM card and the proxies, all of that mattered. But not only TikTok, but also Instagram, they kind of figured out that every idiot with a TikTok account just puts in a random SIM card and spoofs their location and then they get their dream audience. They don't want to do that anymore. They learn from their mistake. So the only thing they serve is the content. So if your content attracts a lot of Chinese people, you're gonna have a Chinese audience. If your content naturally, organically attracts US people, aka, okay, it looks American, sounds American, it's an American trend, American sound, American text. A lot of Americans are naturally gonna have the highest watch time, the highest engagement. They're gonna be most likely to watch the video. The number one thing Instagram is gonna do is show you more Americans. On the downside, if your content is super sexual, there's no real American look on it. It's universally understandable. What's Instagram about to do? They're gonna show it to Indians, Mexicans, Pakistanis. That's the only thing that influences your audience to a certain degree. But obviously, how do we even influence that, right? There's a lot of different pillars that I'm about to present to you now. So let's actually get to which specific pillars even influence your audience and how to convert them. Now, first of all, like I already said, location of the phone, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, all right? Stop trying to set up an NSA level setup to make Instagram think you're in America because it doesn't work, right? that there's American citizens doing content for Chinese people and there's Germans making content for American people. That wouldn't work if that was the case, right? So location of the phone, scratch that out of your mind, is literally not relevant. What is relevant is the video location. Obviously, I've mentioned it in other videos, so I'm going to show you again. This is a very basic breakdown, all right? Now, look at these two video examples that I pull up here, right? This here is a basic ass non-communicating room. Nothing in this room screams from a certain country. If anything, I can tell you it's a German room. It literally looks like a German room. I've grew up there, all right? I know. This is a German fucking room. There's nothing American about it. It looks very European, right? So if an American sees this, he's not gonna be super inclined to comment on the video, engage with it, watch it more. He doesn't feel familiar. The same way, I don't know what your hobbies are. Maybe you're into fighting, you watch a lot of UFC stuff. Maybe you're into gaming, maybe you're into certain types of music. You know certain triggers that make you interested. If I watch a UFC reel and I just hear a certain sound, a certain music that I know is affiliated with the UFC community, I'm going to be much more likely to watch it. So you want to make people who watch it familiar from your target audience, aka the second video here with the American neighborhood. Yeah, that's probably going to get much more Americans. Obviously, it's not perfect. I've said this in another video, but keep in mind, Americans don't say, that's an American neighborhood. That's only how outsiders talk. So this video wouldn't get the ideal American audience. I'm just talking about the looks. If you wanted to have a certain text, and this is going to be, I'm going to put you on some game here. Americans mostly use states or cities as their reference points, right? So if you would have said, oh, wow, that's California neighborhood, or I don't know, a Texan neighborhood, whatever it is, this is going to get you the familiarity to get those Americans, right? So don't just say, American man, American locations. Nah, they don't even talk like this. You would have to be very specific with states and cities. But just based off the looks, this is going to bring you a much higher American audience from the get-go, right? Recording videos in front of a white wall with your 45 Latina single mom wearing a trashed bikini, how the fuck is that going to give you a youth audience? There's no way, right? So make sure Instagram understands that, the viewers understands that. But more importantly, the Instagram AI that they released in the last months, they also read your background, right? So they look for signals, they look for certain trigger points that give them the information that make it easier for them to show to the right people. Like I said, if we're at the bar and I see you talking to blondes all night, as your wingman, as your bro, I'm gonna send you over more blondes. This is the way it works. So look for the signals: suburban houses, American apartments, power outlets, stores, beach vibes. That's, for example, the California bubble, right? Same with New York, same with other type of cities in the US or states. So avoid the European architecture, right? Avoid metric systems. This happened a bunch of times to our own creators. We had like metric systems, or we showed like a product where there was a price tag in the currency of Germany and we got busted, right? And most importantly, even if you don't get busted, Instagram reads that. They know that, right? Foreign street signs as well. Classic mistake. Done that a million times. So the video location itself helps you massively to get to that audience. But next up, obviously, we have the outfits. Now, again, showed this in another video. There's a couple more information coming that I've even discovered myself in the recent months. Obviously, you can go on Pinterest, you can go on Instagram pages of sororities, students in America, companies, and just kind of do your research on how American people dress. It's impossible to fit in a video because there's a certain amount of culture in different culture groups in America, am I right? So American outfits is the most basic thing, right? Like a hot pants, right? Like a top of an American flag, or like this kind of street urban style. Okay, that looks American. That will give people certain clues. What you don't want to do, and it's more about avoiding common mistakes than to do it perfectly, is use non-American outfits. So for example, here, right? This, for example, very French outfit. If you see that, which you probably think that's French. Am I right? That just looks French to me. I couldn't even say why. This is the exact reason it doesn't work. Same here. It's very German outfit. All the refugee chicks in Germany wear that. I can tell you from experience. This here also, most common German outfit at this point. You don't want to have that sitting next to you on a plane. Am I right? But overall, obviously, US style is athleisure, college merch, oversized t-shirts, American brands, baseball caps, right? That's just typical American stuff that the European mind can't comprehend, which is good because you don't want any European minds comprehending your content. Am I right? So avoid European fashion, football jerseys, like the soccer type of stuff, Bayern Munich, Werder Bremen, whatever it is, and obviously non-US aesthetics. And you will have to do your research because if you're a high testosterone man like me, you don't know anything about dressing or dress codes or aesthetics, right? You only care about cool guy stuff. So do your research, go on a couple of IG pages, couple of Pinterest stuff, do like 50 screenshots, feed it into an AI and give them exactly an SOP, what type of clothes your creator should wear. Easy as that, takes you 10 minutes, but now you actually fixed your American audience by 10% again. Next up, we have the sound. Obviously, this is going to be very basic, but there are clearly trending sounds in the US. And I don't mean English speaking sounds. I don't mean, oh, the sound is in English, it must be in America. No, because like I said, most countries have American sounds. I think that's very basic nowadays. What you want to have is, for example, the US top 40 charts. Go on Spotify, look the top 50 US charts, search which songs of them are trending on Instagram, use them. And yes, if you haven't figured it out by now, having a good US audience equals putting more effort into each video. This is going to be the main takeaway from this video out of all of them, right? If you want to have a US audience, you're going to have to put more time and effort into the sounds you use, the outfits you use, the locations you use. That's the takeaway. If you don't want to put effort, that's fine. Have fun with your Indians. But obviously, to get quickly into it, American TikTok trends, American pop culture, right? Completely ignore European club music, non-US regional trends, right? Stuff that is primarily viral in Europe and other countries, right? And you can see that just by looking at the videos that use this sound. Because if you see 8 out of 10 videos who use that sound are like German, French, Indian, Mexican, okay, you probably shouldn't use that because chances are high that if Instagram sees you using that sound, they're just going to recommend you to who primarily you watches videos with that sound. And if that's not Americans, again, you lost 10 to 20% of your audience again, because sounds alone can shift it by 10, 20%. We tested it a bunch of times. Obviously, next up, we have the keywords you can use. And this is where it gets a little bit more technical, but stick with me because this is what nobody talks about, right? Cities, events, locations, songs, overall American pop culture. So what Instagram does is they look at your video, like the video itself, the text in the video, the caption, right? The hashtags, the comments, and they're going to screen for which words are certain buzzwords that rank in certain countries, in certain audience groups. I can give you an example. If I have a video where I write UFC, Conor McGregor, Dana White, into the video text itself, the caption is full of Michael Bisping, knockout first round, welterweight champion, whatever it is. All the UFC buzzwords, okay? 2-3-year Dagestan and forget. This video is going to reach a UFC audience to a certain degree. Why is that? Why can I influence the audience just by the wordings I use? And that is because Instagram is not stupid, right? They know how to get people to stay on the platform. So what they're going to do is if you use, for example, in Germany, there's a famous food spot that was famous for like 1 month. Nas City Chicken, right? It was a spot in Berlin. Everyone went there. So if you use that specific wording, that specific location, you did a video about POV going up to Nas City Chicken, testing it out. You're basically reaching the German audience by default because that spot, that wording, this specific buzzword only ranked in Germany, right? And the same goes for the US. You will have to do your research. AI is your friend. Ask Claude, ask ChatGPT, ask Gemini, whatever. Ask all the AIs what is currently ranking, what are currently famous spots in the recent 30 days, 14 days, 7 days, what is currently ranking there. And obviously, cities, events, American slang, pop culture, you should all use these certain buzzwords and educate yourself on that. If there's currently a certain event going on, like elections are the easiest thing. You don't want to only say, okay, yeah, the US election, yada, yada, yada. You can also say, oh yeah, POV, a skinny shy guy went up to me at the speaking event in Michigan. If that's something that's currently viral, all right? Immediately, you're going to have a much higher US audience because Instagram knows how to rank these keywords, if that makes sense. So LA Gales understand, right? Super Bowl Sunday vibes, college apartment tour, unboxing, I don't know, baseball caps. That's all American to a certain degree. I give you very obvious examples that real Americans would probably bust, right? So you kind of have to go deeper into it. What you want to avoid is, for example, British spellings, right? What one? Give me a bottle of water. Like, you don't want to use British or European slang. That's not what you want to do. Non-US holidays. If you make a video about Shabbat, for example, yeah, maybe some Americans will understand, but it's still not going to rank there. It's going to rank with a primary audience, right? Especially Mexican holidays or German holidays, for example. So keywords are your friend and they're going to influence it to a certain degree. So get your copywriting right. And again, that's going to increase the audience by another couple of percent. Next up, and last, we have the engagement, right? So I'm going to make it very quick. What you want to have is a very set routine that either you or your employees, your VAs, your grandma does on these accounts on a daily basis. It's going to be annoying. It's going to suck. And as most things in business, the more annoying it is to do, the more money it brings, because that means very few people are actually doing it over a consistent amount of time. And I mean, buzzword consistent. What you want to do is the following. Engage with like 10 to 15 US accounts daily. Go on the Boston Red Sox Instagram page, check the latest posts, check who commented there, right? Some baseball fan, some redneck, being like, yeah, the Boston Red Sox really fell off the recent months. I can't believe it, man. Fuck this shit, man. Like some American guy. Follow him, like his comment, right? Kind of do some interactions with the profile. Maybe like a few pictures. Maybe even comment under one of the pictures. Like, wow, I love how you're super hairy and you don't work at all. That's so hot, I guess, right? So second of all, reply to those comments. Like I said, give these US accounts a lot of engagement to a certain degree. Reply to their comment, engage with their profile, follow them, like them. Like, give them enough attention so they follow back. Because what happens, and man, we can all agree, I think we're like 99.9999% male audience here. Now, what happens if a beautiful girl engages with your Instagram account, right? She follows you, comments on one of your posts, like heart eye emojis, likes your comment, maybe even replies. What are you gonna do? You're gonna at least check out her profile. We're not gonna say no to pussy at this point, am I right? So you're gonna check out the profile and you're gonna think, oh, okay, cool. Maybe you even follow, maybe you watch a few reels, cool. But that signals Instagram, wow, a lot of Instagram American users are now engaging with this profile, following, watching the content, engaging. Maybe I should show this profile to more Americans. If they're so into it, why not? So again, you're tricking Instagram, right? So these type of engagement routines, again, watching US trending reels, again, showing it to Instagram that you're an American-based account and posting between like 6 to 10 p.m. EST helps a bit. The posting time is a bit irrelevant, but it still helps you if you have that massive problem. So these type of engagement routines just help you bring that audience onto your account. You can actively influence it like that. So make sure to post it. It's like 15 minutes a day that you have to spend per account. So it's gonna be super, super easy. Now, we obviously talked about what influences your account, but I assume there's gonna be a big percentage of you who paused the video, closed Pornhub, looked at your Instagram profile and checked, oh shit, I have a 5% US audience. No wonder I'm not making money. So if you're already that deep into the hole and you have maybe big accounts, you have accounts that you don't want to lose, how do we actively fix it? How do we actively revert it? Obviously, the first step is going to be to follow everything I just mentioned, but it obviously goes a step above. So how to fix the current audience? Now, obviously, get ready, boys. We're going to America. First of all, our trial reels. Not every account has that at that point in time. They're just enrolling that feature. But what you want to do is use this trial reel feature because it only shows your videos to a new audience. You can actively engage new people. It's not going to show on your profile. So post 3 reels in sequence, right? Post 1, just normal content, right? Your basic content that you post on the profile anyway that has a certain vertical that has worked well for you. Next up, heavily US targeted reel for 2 and 3. That means go guns blasting, all right? Have 3 US flags in the video, use certain slang, right? Use the baseball caps, everything I just mentioned. Fully focus on getting US viewers because the goal is not to make 1 million views. The goal is to make 20,000 views, but 19,000 are Americans because they're all going to go to a profile. You can convert them with the normal reels you post, all right? The purpose of this is not conversion. It's not getting a big audience. It's getting the right audience because the right audience makes you money. Now, obviously repeat that for a few weeks. Check the geo split for like week 3 at that point. Check if it made a difference and then adjust your content, right? Trial reels are amazing, but we're not finished yet. We're halfway there. Next up is geo-blocking. You should use that very carefully, right? This is fixing the symptom, but not the cause of the problem. So you want to be very careful with that. Don't just create an Instagram account and block the entire globe. That's not going to do anything. Instagram's not stupid. But if you have a high Indian audience, for example, go to your settings, block countries, and block countries that fuck up your US audience, such as India, Philippines, Indonesia, Brazil, whatever it is. Now, that is just going to help tone down certain countries a bit. You should do that if a certain country, a couple of countries are primarily in your audience. If everything's like mixed up, it's not going to do much. So use that responsibly, right? It reduces your overall reach, but improves the quality. This is why I say that is a double-edged sword to a certain degree. Last but not least is obviously manual filtering. I think that makes sense. So just sit down, screen sharing you and a couple of VAs, or just give it to your employees and manually remove US followers. Check the profiles, right? Check if there's a fucking Arabic name. Okay, he's probably not American. Okay, makes sense. We don't want any 9/11s happening on that profile. And obviously do 50 to 100 per session so Instagram doesn't get suspicious. If you delete 2,000 followers a day, you're gonna ring off like 50,000 alarm bells on your profile. So remove a couple of them. That only works on smaller accounts. I have to mention that. So if your account has like 1 million followers, it's not gonna do shit, let's be honest. But if you have smaller accounts, you just want to fix it. Yeah, below 5K followers is a good metric. You can always do 50 to 100 people a day that you just remove from the profile that are obviously not American, right? Which is effective for small accounts. So to sum everything up, let's give you a quick checklist so you have some actionable steps. Before you post a video, does it have a US trending sound? Does it look American? Does the outfit reflect that she is American? Do you have US references and keywords in the caption in the video? Do you post between the basically prime time in America? And did you make sure there's no European signals in the video that would attract Europeans or any other countries you don't want? And if that's the case, and by the way, most of it, European signals and other countries, India, Mexico, if your video is too sexual, you're always going to attract them. So check if your video is too sexual or not. But with that, you now got an American audience. It's as easy as that. So let me know if that was helpful. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Check out my free Telegram community in the bio. I got 13,000 other agency owners all working on the same problem. So if you want to get ideas how to actually include that in your content strategy, how to actually find those trends, join it via the first link in the description. Completely free for joining. You're 2 clicks away from talking to 13,000 other agency owners. That being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.